Be a part of our online community on Facebook. Like our page on www.facebook.com/This Is Radio Now to join every conversation on air and get up to date news information on the go.
Good evening and thank you for joining us this evening on The Big Story here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. My name is Chika Agum. And Yemi Cardoso, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, says that the bank's efforts at taming inflation are starting to yield the desired results. He said this at the 58th Annual Bankers Dinner and Grand Finale of the 60th anniversary of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria in Lagos last weekend. Mr. Cardoso said that the financial regulator has been reducing liquidity in the banking industry as part of its effort to manage sky-high inflations, which stood at 27.3% in October, up from 26.27% the month before. Since assuming office, the economic and financial expert has introduced policies to restructure and improve the economy. How significant are the results Mr. Cardoso speaks of, and where might we be losing the mark? The governor of the central bank is also mulling introducing new policies into the banking sector. We'll discuss all of these and more on The Big Story this evening. And to help us understand the plans and policies of the central bank governor tonight, Marcelo Keiko, he's a former chief economist at Zenith Bank, and Busola Aro, a business reporter with The Cable. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Mr. Keke and Ms. Aro. I hope you can both hear me.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Marcelo Keke.
Thank you.
I'm with you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Aro, I hope you can hear me too.
Yes, I can. Good evening, Chika.
Good evening.
I can hear you. Glad to be here. Can you hear me too?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Aro, let's start with you and the report that you also detailed in The Cable. How did or how not just the bankers there, but has the market responded to the central bank governor's speech at that event? What are they saying? What are they telling you? What are you hearing?
Okay. Nice to be here again, Chika. Thank you. Okay, so it's should I say days now? 2 days after the response or the speech of the governor of the central bank, and we saw a lot of applause when the CBN governor was making a speech that day. He raised a lot of about so many actions, so many problems, so many challenges and targets for the year, and for taming inflation and the fact that yes, for inflation, Cardoso is I wouldn't say saying the same thing, but this is not the first time the CBN governor will tell the public that they are making efforts to tame inflation. Taming inflation has always been a major role, a major reason why there is always a meeting. That's the policy committee meeting, and after this, he made people to there were a mixture of reactions. While some persons have felt that this is not the first time that CBN is saying something of such. Taming inflation has always been a major news for the central bank. Some persons still believe that there are hopes that I mean, there are truths behind what the CBN has said or what the CBN governor has said, and that's because recently KMPG released a projection of having 30% inflation increase by December, and as at now we have about 27%. So it's actually going to be surprising if we go from 27% to 30% in just 1 month, which I am strongly believing that Kaduso is working on. Kaduso and his team is working on this. So like I said, there was a mixed reaction. While some persons felt that it is not a new story, some persons are having their fingers to see that, there is some sort of, there are more evidences to back the statement.
Right. Mr. KK, I want to sort of talk to you about the reality of what the CBN governor talks about, that their efforts, right, their monetary policy efforts is yielding results. I can't think of anyone that I have spoken to about the CBN monetary policies more than I've spoken to you, in the past 6-7 months. So just, casting your mind back to where we were, what the CBN governor says they've been doing over time and where we currently are. What do you make of his statements?
Thank you very much. To begin with, the so-called impact that the monetary policy of the CBN is making is in the negative direction. As a matter of fact, what this economy is contending with are unintended impact of the government policies in the past 5 to 6 months. Unintended impact, including the monetary policy. That's what this economy is contending with. That is why, rather than talking about the well-being and welfare of the people being improved as we speak, what the government has been battling with is what is called palliative. Palliative, meaning that the impact of what they did has been wrong, has been so bad, brought pains, hardship to the people. And so the government has been battling with how do we even return people to the status quo ante? How do we restore people to where they were even before the policies were put in place, including the so-called monetary policy? Of course. And one of such monetary policy you must know is the matter of multiplicity of exchange rates. That's the monetary policy. I know the implication. It has led to the crashing of the naira. The naira against the dollar has been on a tail speed as we speak, from around 400 or 500 to the dollar. Officially, we are now at around 1,000 or close to that. And as we speak, whatever the central bank is doing to be keeping the exchange rate at around 700, 800 is shrouded in secrecy. Because the major problem that is causing that, which is the scarcity, acute shortage of dollar in the system, has not been tackled. Who is supplying the dollar? From where? We still have a lot of backlog. Whether you talk about the airlines, foreign airlines that cannot repatriate their money, or the forward contracts that the CBN entered into in the past that are still there, yet to be settled, and so on and so forth. So what I talk about? So what will he be claiming that they have been doing to improve the economy? No. The economy is still far in the wood because of the policies. So until we even are restored to where we were before, you don't start talking about moving forward. I mean, the central bank, let me also tell you, is incapacitated when it comes to the issue of inflation. There's nothing it can do as central bank to control the rate of inflation now. It's beyond it. Because the factors that drive the inflation are not what the central bank can use monetary policy to control. You remove the subsidy on fuel, and that fed into cost of transportation, prices of food, and prices of everything you can think of. So what will the CBN do to reverse that? It is beyond it. So there's nothing it can do. And he has really done nothing. Instead, he is exacerbating the problem by bringing back 43 items that were removed from the official wing of the foreign exchange market, bringing them back and say, come back and continue to import all you have been importing, when they were removed about 8 years ago. So that has been worsening the situation. I don't want to continue this lamentation. I don't see anything yet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hardly see it as lamentations, because a lot of people in the streets, the traders, barbers, students, think of it, anyone, seeing the CBN speech, the CBN governor speech over the weekend, where he says that he's taming inflation. They're probably wondering why then am I not feeling the effects? But I'll come to you in just a moment. But back to you, Mr. Aro. The central bank governor said that they're doing so much work on the ground to review the effectiveness of Nigerian banks. Not just, well, also the CBN, and then the Monetary Policy Committee policies, right? They are improving how they monitor these policies and how our financial institutions adhere to the content of this policy. And I wonder if it is clear now what sort of work the CBN has been doing in that regard. Hello, Mr. Aro, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, it would appear that we're having some connectivity issues with one of our guests. We'll try to get her, via another.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now. Did you hear my question?
I think I heard part of it.
Yeah, so the CBN governor said that they're doing so much work on the ground to review the effectiveness of themselves as, the country's banking sector regulator, but also the monetary policy committees and the policies that they put out to ensure that banks and other financial institutions are abiding by these policies. And I wonder if it is clear just the kind of work that the CBN governor is talking about that the CBN is doing.
Okay, so when he mentioned that, he backed it up saying that for the past 2 months, they've been trying to review the mechanism that was put in place in reviewing this. The mechanism put in place to used in controlling inflation. So he mentioned, some of those tools that they've been using and they've been reviewing to ensure that reduction. They are able to tame the inflation in such a way that it doesn't just skyrocket and everybody's wondering why is it this. So the truth is, on my part, I understand and they really don't know what the inflation rate and the
Ms. Aro, just
to
if you can
this
hold on,
inflation.
if you can hold on a second, we'll try to call you via, we'll call you via another means just so that we can hear you clearly, because you seem to be dipping in and out. So, if you can just hold on to your thought, I'll come back to you later. Mr. KK, so part of what the CBN governor says that he wants to do is ensure that banks recapitalize. The last time we did this was under the current governor of Anambra State, Charles Soludo, who was at the time the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I want to start by asking you if you think that it is time for banks to capitalize, and what are some of the merits or demerits of doing that at this time?
Again, thank you for this question. Let me tell you that Nigerian banks recapitalization has become a necessity again because of the fallout of the policies of the central bank. The policies of the central bank has practically killed the naira. You understand? And so when you value Nigerian banks, these are means you find out that they're nowhere because of the value of the naira. You understand? And out of finance, cases and all that. What's the value of if a bank If a bank capital is 1 billion here, for example, 1 billion, how much is 1 billion today in dollar terms? You understand?
Yeah.
So it's next to nothing. And so when they are around, in vis-a-vis their counterparts in all other parts of the world, they'll be nowhere. And when the serious business here to fund, of course, you have the foreign exchange component of such funding, and then the naira component. It means they won't have the capacity to fund it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So understand? So because of the devaluation, massive devaluation of the naira, because of the flotation of the naira, which they did, floating the naira, which was killing the entire economy. You know, the naira itself was killed. And so the meaning is that the banks have no weight, they are paperweight. You understand? So when they now recapitalize, we don't know to the tune of how much. You understand? That is when they will now start measuring somewhere vis-a-vis other banks in other domains, and then give them greater, strength in terms of financial funding big ticket transactions, even locally. So that is why it's a necessity. As for when that will happen, because the CBN governor didn't say exactly, it wasn't definitive as to when that will take place. Do you understand?
Yes.
He just gave a hint that they want to do. So it's not likely to be this year. Maybe it will be next year. But even on their own, the banks know that their worth has gone down, their value has gone down. And if you check, a number of banks have been backed on recapitalization. As we speak now, 2 or 3 or 4 of them are about to enter the market or already in the market to raise funds. You understand? And about the 4 or 5 banks who are tier 1 banks, are so well capitalized, they are head and shoulder above the waters, so to speak. Understand? But majority of them have been rendered almost worthless, in quote, worthless, by the crashing of the naira. So that's the situation.
Right. So in many ways, you think that it's about time for us to do this, right? But there's a little concern that I sort of have here, and I think it's in the way that the governor of the central bank puts the reason why we need to recapitalize. So the governor of the central bank sort of speaks to the fact that we need to recapitalize because the banks or Nigerian banks as they currently exist are not liquid enough, right? The governor of the central bank says that the Nigerian banks as they currently exist are not liquid enough to service the president's $1 trillion economy target. And it looks as though the central bank governor wants to use this bank's recapitalization to attract more dollars into the economy. And I wonder if that is an approach that actually works in practical terms, Mr. Keke.
Okay, thank you. The reason for recapitalization are several. Multi-pronged reason. Multi-pronged. It's not one reason. I've told you one of the reasons.
Right.
Yes, because of the serious devaluation of the naira. You understand? To show up their weight, their capacity. Do you understand? That is one reason. Okay. The other reason is, their competitiveness. Banking is an international, it's a global business. So Nigerian banks have to be, have to have that strength to compete, with the rest all over the world. Do you understand? That is another point. The other point is when he said this current government wants to build 1 trillion economy. Do you understand? Okay. Yes, banks are a major actor in the economy, and I have told you that they should be equipped to be able to fund big ticket transactions. That's what that means. For an economy to get to GDP of $1 trillion, you understand? So there must be a lot of productivity and production going on, and banks, must be part of that in terms of funding them and supporting them. You understand? So that's how they come in.
Right.
Okay. The issue of expecting foreign investors, when the recapitalization is going on, is neither here nor there. Because as a foreign investor, for example, you don't just bring in money into an economy as FDI, foreign direct investment. You understand? Just for one reason. Okay? Just because there's an avenue for you to invest in Nigerian banks, you rush in your money. You understand? You have to look at the fact that you'll be able to even go out when you want to, repatriate your money. You understand? Or profit you are making, which is the challenge we have now. So many companies are unable to go out. They are unable to take away their money. They are able to take away even their dividends. Do you know that?
Yeah.
So that our situation is that bad. So how will that attract foreign investors to be bringing in more money when those who have entered are unable to take away their profit and take away their dividends? That's the situation, my brother. So who will be coming in? Who will be coming in to get the money trapped here? You understand? So these things have to be very clear to them that the market, is such that when they come in, they will not be trapped. If they make their money, they will be able to go out. And then the investment climate generally is conducive. In terms of even if you invest in Nigerian bank, I want to come to Nigeria. You talk about the level of security or insecurity. How safe is it for you to come to where you are investing? You understand?
I mean, to be
And so on and so forth.
right. To be fair, it does it does seem like that's something that we must do, and I'll come back to that shortly. But I think we have Busola Aro on air now. Ms. Aro, can you hear me? Is this better?
Yes, perfectly. I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much, and we apologize for having to shift our mode of communication, really, or our platform of communication, rather. But just earlier on, we were talking about some of the steps that the central bank governors say that they are taking to ensure that their monetary policies are adhered to ensure that they actually yield results, right? And I wonder if it was clear what exactly he was talking about. What were these steps that he says that they're rethinking?
Okay, so when the governor of Central Bank was talking about the steps they've taken, he mentioned that they've actually just been able to, review the monetary policy tools to ensure that they become more effective. And for them now, it means that rather than seeing a slow effect or a non-at-all effect, they are ensuring that they see a better or rapid effect to the tools or the efforts they are putting into taming inflation. And so what he said was that some of the tools he said they've actually reviewed was the open market operations, OMO, and he talked about treasury bills, talked about cash reserve requirements, and some other things to ensure that they tame inflation and also mop up effective liquidity from the banking system. So for him, for the central bank now, we only know that these tools now have actually been, for them, it's been working. But outside the bank, in reality, when facing reality, you probably might not see any of those things really working. So the open market operations is one of the reasons why they introduced. They listed the bank for three items and some other things. Some of the tools, like I said, mentioned was to tame inflation. So for a common man, let me put it like that now, for a common person, this is just more like, how would I put it, prices of, or the cost of living, just for them to see that, okay, this thing is, even though we are not seeing it, like I keep saying this, you go to the market today and you're checking out for the price of, that's for the OMO now, the open market operations, you're seeing the prices of things reducing a bit, not so much, but you're still seeing that, okay, there is some sort of reduction, there's some sort of reduction in a way. So I wouldn't say that there are different levels of how it works, but we can't just say that this is how it is now. I feel that we should give CBN a little more time to before we can query them, because Caduso just came in 2 months ago and he was supposed to hold an MPC meeting that would elaborate about these things, about the interest rates and other things like that they put in place to ensure that they are taming, to ensure or to show that they are taming inflation. But like I said earlier, these tools are just to show gradual reduction. So instead of people getting to see that inflation that was, let's say, 22%, for instance, today or this month, and next month you're seeing about 27%, instead of you seeing it that way, you're just seeing like a slow increase, like from 22 point something to about 23 point something. So you're not really going to see a huge amount. But what we don't know is how much of effort we really put in, because
it will be
things are still the same.
Yeah, it would be great if we can sort of, get clarity on some of those how that he speaks of. Mr. Keke, just as we wrap things up with you, really though, at the start of your submission, you said that the CBN cannot do much to drive down inflation. And many say that, look, the problem with the economy is that we don't have enough foreign exchange coming into the country, obviously because we're not selling enough crude, right? Or even what is even sold is not being properly accounted for, and so there are many moving parts in this vehicle that is the engine room of what should be a stable economy. The CBN sort of being at the center of all of this right now at this critical juncture in our economic story, what do you reckon should be a priority for them? Because at the end of the day, no matter how how greasy it or how nice and whatever it is that Mr. Cardoso says, until the people in the streets can actually feel the weight on their pockets and on their finances lifted, it's all going to be numbers and it will remain abstract to them. So what is for you should be the priority that the CBN focuses on right now?
Okay, thank you. Let me correct this impression first before I come to your question. My colleague was talking about the level of inflation and all that. Please, the rate of inflation she was mentioning, 27.33%, was really as at end October this year. So by end this November, it's likely to go up by 100 basis points, which means it's going to climb. You can add one whole number to that level, and you now get to 8.33. And by end December, it's also likely to go up again by another 100 basis points, and so you get 29.33. So the issue of arguing that it won't hit the 30%, I mean, is neither here nor there. Inflation level of 29% is a serious problem to the economy. That is by the way. Now, talking about what the CBN should focus on now, the major problem of this economy is acute scarcity, acute shortage of foreign exchange. You understand? Acute, that's the problem. And the policies of the government and the CBN, wittingly or otherwise, is encouraging rise in the demand for foreign exchange, for dollar. And it's not encouraging supply. So there's always demand, outstripping supply of forex. That's a challenge. So the central bank and the government itself, in its totality, should be doing everything to encourage, the inflow of foreign exchange. For CBN, for example, let me tell you, the Central Bank of Nigeria in 2022 came up with this thing they called RT 200 to drive non-oil export, so that a dollar will flow into this economy. But when there was acting CBN governor, they threw away the baby with the bathwater and cancelled that initiative of the central bank. So as we speak now, there's no coordinated effort from the CBN side or the government to encourage export of non-oil items. There's no such effort. And unless and until that encouragement and people export non-oil items to now add to what we are getting from oil. Even the oil, is a beleaguered system because of this bizarre phenomenon called oil theft. That you produce what you produce, and at the end of the day, they are all stolen. What is government doing? They cannot stop immediately. Immediately, like yesterday, this phenomenon called oil theft. You understand? Right. And everybody knows, that in recent times, this country has been unable to meet our OPEC allocated quota. So what are we talking about when we cannot meet the OPEC quota? Okay? So we should do everything to put every effort in that direction to ensure that we get all we should get from oil, and at the same time drive, non-oil export, so that we have a lot of inflow. Okay? Since our environment is not good enough to now be attracting foreign direct investment, we do what we can do on our own side, to attract inflow of dollars, like I have told you now. These are the areas CBN should be paying attention. Okay? The domestic issue of open market operation or closed market operation and all that is incestuous. We are talking to ourselves. Because if you break down foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment into this economy in recent times, in recent months, you find out that the foreign portfolio investment and foreign direct investment have completely dried up. Completely dried up. In the Nigerian stock exchange, for example, foreign portfolio investment used to account for over 50 to 60%. But in recent times, that has come down to less than 10% foreign portfolio investment. So what does that show? They don't have confidence in our economy. The CBN, the government should be doing everything to recover the confidence of both foreign and local investors in the economy. Those are the things they should be doing, whatever that takes. Not good grammar. Let me tell you, for example, between September and now, a few days ago, when the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria used the platform of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria's bankers dinner to say what he had said. Do you know that the silence of the CBN governor, when we were supposed to have a meeting of monetary policy committee in September, it was cancelled, and when they were supposed to have it on the 20th and 21st of this month or so, it was cancelled. Do you know the problem that caused to the economy? That nobody could get any government agency to say anything authoritative about the economy. They don't understand these things. It led to a lot of issues. It led to a lot of worry. It sent a lot of dangerous signals to key stakeholders of this economy and people who are outside. I don't know why people don't understand this. It sent very, very serious signals, very, very negative signals about the economy. Because normally we depend on the communique of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, in taking so many economic decisions. You understand?
Right.
And they just suspended it in September, suspended it in November, for them to now come and utilize bankers' dinner.
We understand that we understand that that's CBN MPC meeting that was postponed should be holding sometime. So there's no clarity yet on when that will happen, but it was reported some 3 days ago, and like you said, the market is reacting to it, and hopefully the CBN comes up and lets us know why that meeting didn't hold, and if indeed it will hold at any time before December. But Mr. Marcel Okeke, I want to say thank you very much for your time and your insights this evening. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Mr. Marcel is an economist. Also on this conversation we had Busola Aro. Busola Aro is a business reporter with The Cable. Busola, thank you very much for sharing your time and your insights with us this evening. We appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Stay with us. That's the big story. But let's head over to the round table, okay? And let's talk about Lagos. Let's talk about Lagos, because a new ranking by a new global traffic congestion rankings by Traffic Index shows that Lagos tops the list of cities with the worst traffic in the world. If you're listening to me right now, you're probably stuck in traffic somewhere in Lagos. Do you actually think that we're doing enough as a people to address our traffic situation. That's what I want us to talk about next at the roundtable. Keep it here. Good evening.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Please, officer, now. I know to make money today. I beg now. Hey!
Laolu! Today is the day you are going to pay for all your sins.
Something exciting out of the stables of Sanitary Pad Media Campaign.
Now, me. First man I know well, wallahi. Since yesterday. My stomach, I dey pain now. I no sleep.
Yeah. A radio drama soap, My Period, My Pride.
This woman, come on for road. You know they look your back. Come on for road, this woman, huh? Come on for road.
My Period, My Pride, an advocacy tool for the provision of free sanitary pads for schoolgirls in Nigeria, powered by Sanitary Pad Media Campaign with support from MacArthur Foundation and Radio Now 95.3 FM.
My Period, My Pride, Season 1, The Story of Afi.
Every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Go to Financial Services Regulation and Coordinating Committee FSRCC tinyere National Broadcasting Commission NBC Johera Adoho Boda Kanante banyere ndị na-atụ mgbere ego iwu akwadoghị bụ Illegal Financial Operators IFO nke na-eme ka ndị mmadụ ghara inwekwa ntụkwasị obi ọzọ tinyere na ngalaba na-ahụ maka ego na Nigeria enweghị nkwudosi ike ha jizi ohere agwa ndị ọha obodo ka ha kwụsị ịtụnyere ndị na-atụ mgbere ego enweghị akwụkwọ ikike inwekwara ike ime nchọpụta banyere akwụkwọ ikike ụlọ ọrụ dị otu a site n'akara webụsaịtị ndị a www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng. maka inye mkpesa banyere gburugburu ego n'ụdị ọbụla kpọọ 07002255226 08002255226 maọbụ +234-817-665-6273. ozi a si n'aka FSRCC.
The issues are all around us, but who talks about them? Law enforcement breaking the law, property owners ripping off tenants, political office holders taking the electorate for granted, or is it the plague of recurring bad policies made by the government? These are the issues. Let's talk about these and more at the Round Table. Stay locked on to Radio Now 95.3 FM every weekday as we discuss these hot topics around us on The Round Table on Now Express. The Round Table, weekdays, 5:30 p.m.
Good evening and welcome to the Round Table. My name is Chika Ago. So, according to Traffic Index and their global traffic rankings for 2023, the Traffic Congestion Ranking 2023 annual reports, Lagos has the worst traffic among cities with at least 500,000 inhabitants around the world. Lagos State has the worst traffic among cities with at least 500,000 inhabitants around the world. First, I want to get your thoughts on this number, right? Is it that bad? Lagos State having the worst traffic of any city in the world with at least 500,000 inhabitants? That's the question I'm asking you this evening. And if you actually think that we're doing enough to address the problems that we have with traffic here in Lagos, if you're listening to me right now, you're probably listening to me in traffic and wondering, when am I going to get home? What is the cause of the traffic? Why am I here at this time? Yesterday I was making a trip to the airport. And between, I think it was Palm Grove, between Palm Grove and Anthony, it took me 2 hours. 2 hours. I was in traffic for 2 whole hours. It was a nightmare. Hello, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Chica.
Good evening, Shegun. Shegun. Do you agree with this report? Is it that bad? Talk to me.
Yeah, of course. I agree and I also disagree. In the sense that, first of all, we need to commend the effort of Lagos State government on the aspect of traffic, the way they handle the traffic in Lagos, because we have a lot of agencies like LASMA, sometimes police and some other persons. With all that, we kind of like they put in place to actually control traffic. But there's no how we can write it off in the sense that, for instance, look at Lagos Island. Lagos Island is a place that located with all headquarters of some businesses and the multitude of people taking day and night and with their vehicles. And if you look at the suburb surrounded by water and the road is narrow. So as a result of this, you'll be expecting traffic. Look at Ikeja. Ikeja also is another place that has some traffic because most of the branch of some offices located in Ikeja and multitude of people also sleeping in there. So, and look at the Lagos road, which actually have a lot of alternation. As a result of this, they may have a kind of higher traffic, but I cannot call it worse. But I want to ask, how did they get this data? What a place like India, like China, how did they control their business? So that's why I said I disagree and I agree. So that's my thing.
I hear you, right? I hear you, Shegun. So, I mean, obviously, Google Maps makes it easier to track this sort of data, right? So they have. You can go off there and I'll talk about how they get their data on there. Because look, we live in a world where technology is increasingly, I would say, broadening our capacity to do things, right? Technology is widening the scope of our imagination. The things that we are now able to think of and do, continues to surprise even the most tech-savvy people, right? But I'll talk to you about, how this organization says they get their data. So they are built on top of the traffic layer within Google Maps, right? And the specified layer uses 4 colors to represent traffic congestion: green, orange, red, dark red, right? And if you use Google Maps, you're very familiar with this color coding. Essentially, the darker the color, the more congestion can be observed in that location. So if you're going somewhere and the line on Google Map is dark red, you just know that there's a lot of traffic there and it is best to find an alternative route. Sometimes it could be amber, right? Like somewhere between yellow, orange. It's not exactly yellow, it's not exactly orange. Some amber looking color. And it's not really a big deal. Sometimes it could just be bus drivers parked by the roadsides picking passengers, and you can actually get to your destination. But let's take more calls here. Obi from Ikeja, good evening.
Chika, my brother, how are you doing today?
I'm well, my brother. Good evening. Welcome.
I'm okay, my brother. And you?
I'm fine. Please go on.
Chika, how on earth will somebody be asking question on how comparing Nigeria, China, and India? That's funny.
Is it?
In China and India, people are well. The level of discipline is very high. The ordinary people here, people.
So here's the thing, right? And I'm not saying this as a pushback to your statements, but Mumbai in India is on our list, right? And Mumbai is number 5. Number 5 top cities with the worst traffic congestion in the world. So I think that he has every right to call out India here.
No. I didn't say he doesn't have the right. With the population of India, if Nigeria was Lagos was India, it means that nobody would trek. Even you can't trek then in Lagos. You can't even trek, not to talk of motor. The level of indiscipline in Nigeria, if people go one way, leave their road, park motor on the road, doing all sorts of things, stay on the road and be loading passengers, There are a lot of reasons to that. I don't think that the Lagos problem is too horrible. That's the problem we're having here. The people don't respect the law enforcement agencies. They don't obey them. Law officers. If you go to Cotonou, you only whistle, they blow whistle, everybody will stick at things. Everybody will do things normal. But yeah, the level of indiscipline is too high, Chief. Thank you very much.
Still high, the level of indiscipline. That's it. And you know, Opie makes a very valid point, right? India is a country of, you know, I think they've crossed a billion people in census, right? Recently, it's now officially the world's most populous country. And if you look at India's population vis-a-vis, you know, Nigeria's population, I mean, you can sort of put things in perspective and say, well, if we had India's population, you know, we would be worse. Like for a larger population, India should not be India should not be ranking lower than Lagos. Ambassador Musbao, good evening. Welcome. Why did they laugh this man?
Someone tell me what you did to yourself last weekend. No, let me go. Also, you go and party. That number. Let me go for that day. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
At times, people believe Nigerians maybe the worst country in the world. Forgetting that Nigeria is still far better than other foreign countries you may talk about. Well, I mean, people compare Kutonu. I want the population in Kutonu. I want to tell you their population. In Nigeria today, the most populated state is Lagos. Okay? So, compared to the other states, and Lagos is mini Nigerian, and where some people disobey the traffic. And we talk to ourselves that why do we disobey the traffic? I said when people call out last month, this traffic manager is this. If it is true, I've been my vehicle never been caught one day by this last month, and I got no time because I will never obey traffic. I will not disobey traffic. Sorry. So tell me now, why will be molested? No traffic officer will hold me. But some people who always we have an appointment 10 p.m. They leave home 9:45. They will do krakataka. They want to disobey traffic. So what do you expect? So tell me now, if we can just decide that today I'm going my car, I will not disobey traffic. I'm not trying to go. I will not pass one way. I will not break the light. Still will better. So let's talk about we are the problem. So now, to me, that Google Map work. So now, but at times Google misbehave. So now, I know. Sometimes
we need to teach Google some manners.
The Google direct me to left. No. Look, never trust Google. At times, Google they take Google. They take Google at times.
Oh man.
So let us set that. They're not going to disobey traffic.
All right.
It will be better for every one of us. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. 0913 9000 953 and 090 1111 953. Let's talk about Lagos's traffic situation. Obi, you know what? Yeah. I want us to do a comparison, you know, side by side this countries around the you know that we've just compared. So for instance, Mumbai's population as at 2023 is estimated to be 21.2 million people. 21.2 million people, and this is according to World Population Review, right? Mumbai's population is estimated to be 21 million people this year, and Lagos's population is also estimated to be around 21 million too. I mean, we've not had a census since God knows when, you know that. But if we go by where we were at the last census and just, you know, estimates, we're somewhere around 21, maybe 22 million people, right? It depends on who you ask. So I'm not going to really like dwell on that, but that is our population. So essentially, Lagos and Mumbai has the same population. But you also want to look at the size, right? You also want to look at the size, the landmass of both cities, and if you do the comparison, right, maybe you might have a different perspective on comparing Lagos and Mumbai. Obi, you're back. I called you so many. I called you so many times. You showed up.
Yes, you're a magician. Chika, how do you the Nigerians get all this population were
yeah, it's an so we are using hold on. It's an estimate, right? We had our last population census in what, 2006, 2005 thereabout. And obviously there is a trend for how population would grow. It's what statisticians do. That's not my job. So going by the estimate from our last population, we're somewhere around 21, 20 million, depending on who you ask, really.
Chika, we don't have that population in Lagos. Nigeria does not even have that 200 million we're talking about.
Well, let someone else. You know what? I want to say, I hear you, right? And I've had this argument with friends and colleagues over the years about what our true population is, but until anyone will do something a lot more holistic than the National Population Commission will do, I don't know what else to say.
Chika, let me bring other examples that will make you not to compare Mumbai. You see, Mumbai, they use keke, use bicycles, use that. With this fact that they have traffic. If everybody was using car in India just like Lagos, my brother, there won't be any movement now. There won't be any movement. People are using bicycle, keke, leg, and they still have that kind of traffic they have in Mumbai. Lagos, the problem of Lagos, which I keep saying, you see, it's not any time you go to meeting that you discuss in the meeting. When somebody have made the point you want to make, you just sit down. We don't need to keep repeating ourselves. Lagos is indiscipline is the problem that we have. Even the national officials, they are the cause of most of the traffic we have in Lagos. They allow the yellow buses to do whatever they like, and they start disturbing the private cars. A lot of shenanigans happening in Lagos. That is why we are having Lagos. If you see during holidays, small holidays, Christmas, you see that Lagos is empty. Lagos is empty, completely empty. Nobody inside Lagos. So what are we talking about? It's just these rickety vehicles that keeps pulling up and down.
Is it empty because people have left, or empty because it's the holiday and people are in their houses?
Because people are in their houses, or people have left to the other small cities, But if Mumbai, whether holidays or no holidays, there's traffic. If you have been to India before,
I've never
been to India every time there's traffic there. Traffic, even leg, people movement. You can't pass, not to talk of a vehicle. So let's not compare the two, I beg. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Obi insists that it's worse here than it is in Mumbai. I don't know if that's what he's trying to say. That it's worse here than it is in Mumbai. 0913 5000 953 and 0901 11 953. It would be great to actually go to India myself and see what the traffic is actually like in that city. I know that I've seen very scary videos online of what just an ordinary commute should look like or what an ordinary commute does look like in India every other day. Let's take more of your calls here. 0901 11 953. Emmanuel from Monicon is calling in. Good evening, my brother. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. You want to speak up a little louder, please?
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Perfect. Thank you. Please carry on.
Okay, then. I agree with if we could just be more disciplined, it would be better for us. And as regards Mumbai and Lagos' comparison, well, for me, Lagos, don't forget Lagos is and Mumbai is a city. But both of them probably share the same population. But indiscipline is the bane of Lagos' traffic. That's what I can say today.
All right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Appreciate. So just before we wrap up, I have a text, and this came in during the big story. Should have read it earlier. This says, and this is from Osita Chibike. So thank you very much for sending in your text to Osita Chibike. He says, no one should be carried away by Mr. Cardoso's speech. And he was talking about the conversation we had at the big story where we, had a deep dive into the speech that the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso, gave at the bankers' dinner over the weekend. He goes on to say that the people in this government are always big in talking the talk, but very little in implementation. Don't forget, this CBN governor some time ago warned currency speculators that this government is coming with policy that will crash Forex and make Naira to gain value, but till tomorrow, Naira is still losing its value. My advice to them is that election is over and they should roll their sleeves and go to work. Nigerians are not impressed with the outcome of their work so far. Thank you very much for sharing this text with us, Emmanuel Chibike. I apologize I didn't read this earlier on. It would have been great to actually, dive into your point of view with my guests on the program. Wake up with us tomorrow, 5:30 a.m. here on Now Breakfast. David Chedu is on air. But of course, I am back tomorrow at 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. So make sure to join us then. We'll begin with Energy Watch, where we'll take a look at all the stories happening in the world of climate, sustainability, and energy. The news summary is up next at 6 p.m. My name is Chika Ago. And have a good night, Lagos.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.